On January 12, 2022, the PC version of Monster Hunter Rise was released. It is a definitive and superior version of the game. It provides better graphics, smoother gameplay, and most importantly, you get the full game up front, instead of having to receive it piece by piece throughout 3 title updates. Honestly, there are only 2 reasons to stay on the Switch version. The first is the portable factor. Being able to play anywhere is definitely attractive. The second is the lack of a cross-save function, which forces you to restart from scratch on the PC version. It is understandable if you do not want to lose all of those hours of progress in hunts and talisman farming. I definitely don't. But this is not a video about the differences between the Switch version and the PC version. It is not a video on which version you should play. It's the PC one, by the way. And it definitely is not a video about how the Switch version was released incomplete. That is a can of worms that I will open at a later date. No, this is not about any of this. Instead, this video is about cheating. Indeed, the PC version of Monster Hunter Rise allows hunters to very easily cheat by obtaining maximum amounts of consumable items, maximum amounts of crafting materials, handcraft any talisman you may want, and even modify attack and defense values in order to make hunts breeze by with very little effort. There are those hunters who disagree with cheating, and there are those that justify it, using different arguments. Honestly, this is not a black or white situation. There are many scales of gray in this color palette of the conundrum of cheating in Monster Hunter Rise PC version. I want to talk about it in detail, but I will say this now. People should really learn to live and let live. I take topics like this one very seriously. Most people tend to confuse concepts and express opinions based on incomplete, faulty, or fallacious logic. In order to avoid this and to establish an intelligent conversation, we need to understand the concept that we are speaking of. Cheating is defined as follows: to act dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage, especially in a game or examination. Now, this is a general definition, but I want to make some changes to it so that it may better fit our topic. First, the definition speaks of acting dishonestly. Frankly, this is too much of a judgment of value for my taste. You can definitely cheat and be honest about your cheating, so that doesn't really work. Second, the examination that it speaks of is much too academic for what we need. We are playing a video game, so the simple terminology of game will suffice. I want to remove these two and be left with a simple concept. Cheating is to act unfairly in order to gain an advantage, especially in a game. This is a simple definition that everyone can understand. So, the question remains, is using a third-party program in order to obtain items or abilities in Monster Hunter Rise by subverting the methods required to obtain them legitimately cheating? I believe that the answer is clear. We are using an unfair method outside the game and we are obtaining an advantage from it. Ergo, we are cheating. I honestly don't think that anyone will disagree with me on this point. I believe that we can all agree that this is cheating. That being said, if you do have an argument against this, do not hesitate to share it in the comments below. I am very interested in reading your point of view. It is now time to dive deep into the real matter at hand. Is cheating wrong? I can tell you that I come from a legal background. To me, right and wrong really depends on the established rules that we set for ourselves. It also depends on whether there is someone hurt by the actions that we are analyzing. This means that in order to answer if cheating is wrong, we must first answer the following questions. Who does it hurt? And is the cheating hunter staying within the limits of the game? In my opinion, hunters should not cheat. Those hunters who play on PC should play the game as it was intended, by grinding the system and farming the materials until they are blessed by RNG to receive what they are looking for. I do not like cheating, and I personally would never cheat. That said, just because I do not like it or I disagree with it does not mean that it is wrong. People need to understand that just because they do not like something, it does not make it wrong. So back to the questions at hand. Who does the cheating hurt? And are they staying within the limits of the game? Monster Hunter Rise is a game that allows both single-player and multiplayer interactions. The multiplayer interactions are specifically cooperative in nature. There is no player versus player interaction. It is all player versus environment, whether they choose to play alone or with other hunters. If a hunter decides to cheat but only participates in single-player modes, then the cheating only affects his or her own experience. If a hunter decides to modify his or her attack values and decimate all monsters with very little effort, if he or she decides to have unlimited crafting materials, making it easy to craft any weapon or armor with very little hunting, yet only plays in single-player mode, then that means that this cheating only hurts the hunter. Since the hunter is making their own decisions to hurt their own experience in the game, there is no issue here. Each and every hunter is allowed to experience the game in whatever way they see fit. If they are only affecting their own experience, they may do as they wish. In this case, cheating is not wrong. Or do you mean to tell me that you never used cheat codes in a game to have some mindless fun? Have you never spawned cars in Age of Empires to eradicate CPU enemies? Have you never spawned airplanes or boats in GTA to create crazy scenarios? Have you never made it so that you have every gun and can skip around the levels in a Duke Nukem game? This is definitely cheating, but it is also extremely fun. Taking into consideration that it affects no one but your own experience, there is no way this can be conceived as wrong. This hurts no one. As such, if a hunter exploits their own game, but only limits to playing offline or in single-player mode, then the cheating is not wrong. It is just another way to have fun, and they are allowed to have their fun. Moving on, what happens if a hunter decides to cheat, but also decides to join other hunters in multiplayer? This is a much more complicated situation, and we have to be honest and fair in determining the different circumstances that can manifest. Playing in multiplayer while cheating in Monster Hunter Rise PC is not automatically wrong. As the saying goes, the devil is in the details. Let's say that a hunter cheats to obtain maximum consumables and maximum crafting materials. They are now able to make any armor and weapon in the game, meaning that they can make any build in the game. Furthermore, they now no longer have to farm and craft consumables. They do not have to deal with the Argosy, and they certainly do not have to worry about research points. That said, the builds that they are able to make are all builds that any player or any hunter would be able to make anyways. The items and consumables that they would be able to use are the exact same ones that any other hunter would be able to use. What they did was cheat to skip the process and go straight to the result. But they remain within the hard limits of the game. Everything they have follows the rules of the game. If this hunter were to join a multiplayer, they would not affect the other hunters in the party. They would not be hurting their experience because they remain within the limits of the game. Some would say, but what happens if a hunter with in-game gear answers a low-rank SOS and deletes the monster before the low-rank hunter can do anything? This would not be fun for the low-rank hunter. Honestly, you are right. This would not be fun for the low-rank hunter, and it would definitely affect their experience. That being said, this is something that can be done by anyone, cheating or not. I can do this already on the Switch version. I can take my Valstrax set, go into multiplayer, into a low-rank Great Isushi quest, and wreck town in less than a minute. I am not cheating. The game allows this. In fact, the game encourages this by giving me additional rewards for helping another hunter that is a lower level than me. This is a problem with the game, not with cheating. Now, let's say that a hunter cheats by modifying their attack and defense values, making them essentially limitless. in order to be able to deal max damage to a monster while taking the least damage possible themselves. Let's say that this buffed up hunter goes into multiplayer. No matter what quest they join, they will be able to deal immense amounts of damage, even to the strongest monsters, and they will be able to take incredible amounts of damage themselves, making it almost impossible for them to cart. As a result, this hunter is able to make quick work of any monster, even possibly one-shotting some of them. The other hunters would not get much time to participate in the hunt. They would not get much time to play the game. This very much affects their experience, and it affects it negatively. This is wrong. Some would say, what is the difference between this scenario and the last one with the low rank Great Isuchi? The answer is game limitations. In the first example with the low rank Great Isuchi, the hunter is using an end game set that follows the rules and limitations of the game. In the second example, the hunter directly modified his statistics beyond the normal scopes and limits of Monster Hunter Rise. When you go past the limits of the game and you ignore its rules, you create an experience that was not intended by the developers. You are giving other hunters an experience that they are not supposed to get with the game. This is extremely negative to the players and to the game itself. Some hunters may not understand that others are cheating, and when they see monsters die so quickly that they do not have a chance to play, they may erroneously blame the game. This is a possibility, and a possibility that once again hurts both the game and the players. This is wrong. You are hurting the experience of others, and you are going beyond the limits of the game. This kind of cheating is wrong. The last example I want to talk about is Talismans. My dear viewer, I do not like the talisman farming system in Monster Hunter Rise. In fact, I hate it. I despise it. It should go away. Knowing this, let's talk about a hunter who cheats in order to handcraft the talisman with the exact skills that he or she needs to make the best build possible. Same questions apply. Does it hurt anyone? And are they within the limits of the game? If a hunter decides to make the famous and rarest talisman of Critical Boost 2, Weakness Exploit 2 with a 311 decoration slot spread with a chance of 1 in 390 billion to obtain, they are definitely cheating. But it is not wrong. This talisman is established as a possibility that is obtainable throughout normal means within the game. Once again, this hunter cheated to skip the process and go straight to their result, but they remain within the rules of the game. Playing in multiplayer with this talisman does not hurt anyone's experience, as it is already available to anyone who has an incredible amount of fortune with RNG. This kind of cheating is not wrong. Now, if a hunter decides to make a talisman with attack boost 7, critical eye 7, and a 333 decoration slot spread, then this hunter is creating something that is not possible to obtain within the current rules of the game. They are going beyond the established limitations of Monster Hunter Rise. As a result, this cheating is wrong. The use of this talisman may create a situation or scenario not foreseen by the game, and it will definitely negatively affect the experience of others. Throughout the examples I have explained, and through the guidelines of 2 simple questions, we should be able to determine whether or not a specific instance of cheating is wrong in Monster Hunter Rise. As I have shown, cheating in this game is only wrong if you hurt other hunters' experiences, or if you go beyond the scope, the rules, and the limitations of the game itself. Of course, this is my way of seeing things, and I would be happy to know yours. If you disagree with my point of view regarding the right and the wrong of cheating, please let me know and share your own opinion in the comments below. Finally, ethics, morality, and philosophy are some of my favorite subjects when it comes to human studies. What are they? How do they apply to me? Why are they important? These are all questions that have very difficult answers that some of the greatest minds in humanity have still not been able to fully explain. These concepts apply to everything in our lives, and they most definitely also apply to cheating in Monster Hunter Rise. That being said, There is no straight answer. Cheating in Monster Hunter Rise may be moral or maybe not, depending on who you ask. That is the most important lesson here. You can answer this question for yourself, but you cannot answer it for anyone else. The morality of the subject at hand is completely subjective and it is based on your own personal value. As I mentioned before, in my own personal opinion, cheating is wrong and it is most definitely not moral. I do not like cheating, I disagree with cheating, and I believe that no one should cheat. That being said, just because I believe these things does not mean that they are a universal truth. I said this before, just because I do not like something, it does not make it wrong. Everyone should understand this. There are those who think that if you choose to play a game, then you should always follow its rules. That means that if you choose to play Monster Hunter, then you should abide by the systems in the game. These hunters believe that skipping the grinding and the RNG is wrong, and that everyone should be at the mercy of these systems, because that is the essence of Monster Hunter. For these hunters, you are diminishing the game and hurting Monster Hunter by circumventing its mechanics. For them, the purity of the game is at risk and under attack when hunters cheat, even if this cheating does not hurt any other player. It is a matter of sentimental value towards the game. There are also those who believe that it does not matter. It is just a game. It does not affect real life and it has no lasting consequences. To those hunters, cheating is just a means to an end. They do not want to waste their time farming and rolling imaginary dice in order to get what they need to progress through their own game. They believe that in order to achieve their goal, they are allowed to use any means necessary. For them, morality is not an issue. These hunters just want to reach the objective with the least frustration possible. They have no sentimental value towards the game besides having fun. These hunters just want to have fun playing Monster Hunter, and we can all agree that the frustration of constant grinding is not very fun. Both of these points of views are fair and viable and good. Neither of these is right or wrong because morality in most cases cannot be identified by righteousness or wrongfulness. Whether cheating is moral or not is a decision that you, my dear viewer, must make on your own, using your own arguments and reflections. Who are we to tell others what to think? We can only express our own sense of morality and defend it in a respectful manner. As long as we maintain a respectful and intelligent conversation, then the topic of morality can flourish. Throughout this video, I have tried very hard to establish an understandable sense of the duality of cheating and when it can be considered harmful, wrong, and when it can be considered harmless, not wrong. I have also tried to present the issue of asking if something is moral or not and the subjectivity that presents itself when dealing with these kinds of topics. In the end, it can all be reduced to a simple philosophy: live and let live. For those that choose to not cheat, to live means to play the game as they believe is right, the way the game was intended to be played and enjoyed, reaching their goals through persistence and luck. On the other hand, to let live means to not judge or resent those hunters that cheat in a way that does not harm them or their experience. To accept that some players do not want to experience the frustration of the grind, and to accept that these players have the right to skip it. On the other hand, for those that choose to cheat, to live means to do as they see fit, cheating as much or as little as they wish in order to have the experience that suits them the best and to have the fun that they want with Monster Hunter. That said, to let live means that they should not affect, change, or hinder the experience of other hunters by bringing exploits that surpass the limits of the game into multiplayer. They should seek to maintain the results of their cheating control so that only their own experience is affected. The right and the wrong of cheating is not based on morality, philosophy, or purity of the game. It is based on our conduct towards each other, on our consideration for each other's experiences. If you want to understand whether cheating is right or wrong, then ask yourself if a specific way of cheating is affecting or hindering any other hunter's experience. Simply ask yourself, am I hurting anyone? Thank you very much for your time, and please remember to use more greatsword.